Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Firstly, I would like to thank all of you to still awake to hear my lecture. My topic today is about is reverse shoulder arthroplasty now the key player in the shoulder game. In the first of my presentation, I would like to express my sincere condolences for the death of my mentor, Professor Yerosh, who used to reach the EGA conferences with valuable lectures. And indeed, he was the first one to teach me how to implant reverse shoulder arthroplasty in Germany 20 years ago. God bless his soul. Reverse shoulder arthroplasty was designed to treat cuff arthropathy where anatomic shoulder replacement didn't work. The rotator cuff arthropathy doesn't rely on rotator cuff with better results. The reverse arthroplasty has improved the range of motion for the treatment of cuff arthropathy. The design passed through different generations, starting from older designs to the Grumman design and then new designs for the sake of improvement of the prosthesis. The implant approved by the FDA 2003 for treatment as a single indication for cuff arthropathy only. But in 2022, now it is approved for rotator cuff arthropathy and revisions. But are these the only indications for reverse shoulder replacement? We will see throughout the presentation. There is innovations for the system of reverse shoulder arthroplasty regarding the glenoid lateralization, the reduced neck shaft angle, modularity, stemless components, computer navigation, 3D planning, patient-specific implantation. And these newer designs lead to better outcomes and survival than older designs with glenoid lateralization and humeral lateralization. So lateralization, whether through the glenoid side or through the humeral side, leads to better biomechanics of the reverse shoulder. So revolution in design leads to evolution of new indications with better long-term outcomes. For example, primary shoulder arthritis. As we all know that with osteoarthritis, there is progressive posterior glenoid bone loss, retroversion of the glenoid, loss of normal glenoid vault, posterior subluxation of the humeral head, degenerative weakness of the cuff. All these are problems encountered with primary arthritis. Traditionally, primary osteoarthritis with posterior glenoid wear has been managed adequately with anatomic total shoulder replacement. And they solve the problems with asymmetric reaming like this, or using a posterior bone graft or a posterior augmented glenoid for larger corrections. But what are the problems encountered with the total shoulder arthroplasty with posterior glenoid wear? There is high incidence of glenoid loosening, recurrence of humeral head subluxation that leads to polyethylene wear, and the rocking horse phenomenon of the plastic glenoid. So from this, there will be failure to use anatomic total shoulder in just primary osteoarthritis. So this is various publications of the usage of the reverse shoulder arthroplasty in straightforward primary osteoarthritis as an off-label indication for the reverse shoulder, especially with glenoid bone loss. So this is a new indication to use reverse shoulder arthroplasty in cases of primary osteoarthritis with glenoid bone loss resulting in a biconcave or severely retroverted and dysplastic glenoid. This is a case here, 60-year-old teacher with right shoulder pain, limited range of motion. You can see here the MRI with intact cuff, but there is glenoid defect and posterior glenoid wear. So if you think that you designed to use the anatomic replacement, so the planning of the plastic glenoid will be very medialized and will be kinking and non-functioning of the rotator cuff. So in such case, I used to implant a reverse shoulder arthroplasty with grafting of the glenoid. Another indication that will be discussed thoroughly with my colleague, Professor Amr, the proximal humeral fractures, as there is poor results with hemiarthroplasty, and we will learn from him why this is, and reverse shoulder arthroplasty appears to provide superior range of motion, and even poor reverse shoulder arthroplasty is better tolerated than poor hemi. So this is another indication for the usage of the reverse shoulder arthroplasty in comminuted 3-4 part fractures in elderly, not only in fresh fractures, but also as a trauma sequelae, like malunion, non-union, fracture dislocation. As we will see, this is a case of neglected fracture dislocation. We'll use a reverse shoulder arthroplasty adequately and with good result of the patient. This is another case treated with percutaneous wires and ended with non-union, so implanted a reverse shoulder replacement. Another case treated with plates and screws, ended with non-union AVN and treated adequately with reverse shoulder replacement. Another fracture dislocation, you can see here neglected fracture dislocation, and there is defect in the glenoid that treated intraoperatively with the glenoid with bone grafts. And bioreverse arthroplasty was implanted with the good functional results post-operative. Another new indication is the rheumatoid arthritis, because reverse shoulder arthroplasty can solve the two key problems of the rheumatoid arthritis. That is the glenoid bone destruction as well as the rotator cuff deficiency. So, and this is a systematic review that showed that there is a survival rate is up to 96% for 7-year follow-up. This is a case of severe cuff arthropathy in rheumatoid patient with a huge AC joint cyst, and this is the MRI of the patient with totally complete cuff deficiency in a rheumatoid patient, and they used a reverse shoulder replacement to solve the problem with the excision of the cyst. So another indication for reverse shoulder arthroplasty is the rheumatoid arthritis cases. Also revisions. Numerous studies have reported an outcomes of revision arthroplasty using conversion of arthroplasty to of hemi or total to reverse shoulder replacement. And the most common cause of failure of anatomic shoulder replacement is the cuff failure. So the reverse shoulder was suggested to be a good option for the majority of arthroplasty revision. This is a case of young patient, 40 years, with 4-part fracture that ended with treated with hemiarthroplasty and failure of the hemiarthroplasty, and I converted her to reverse shoulder replacement. So this is a new also indication for reverse shoulder arthroplasty in revision cases after failed hemi or failed total shoulder anatomic arthroplasty. So in reality, reverse shoulder arthroplasty is used much more, and a reverse shoulder arthroplasty is reverse the way forward. There is expanded indications. It is not only the cuff arthropathy cases, but also proximal humeral fractures, trauma sequelae, massive cuff tears without arthritis, tumors, primary osteoarthritis, even with intact cuff, but with significant glenoid erosion, post-traumatic arthritis, revisions after failure of arthroplasties, rheumatoid arthritis, osteoarthritis and Parkinsonism, paraplegic persons with upper limb weight-bearing limbs. So reverse shoulder arthroplasty is currently riding a wave of popularity with the shoulder surgeon, and this is due to there is increasing use of reverse shoulder because of that exceeded the anatomic shoulder arthroplasty. With long-term performance will confirm the success or otherwise of this strategy. Reverse shoulder arthroplasty is currently the master key for most challenging shoulder cases, and actually, when in doubt, reverse can get you out. Reverse can reverse your expectations. Thank you very much.